Should you hire a designer in the age of AI? AI can do everything, right? There's so many AI tools out there, and they are really powerful. They can help you brainstorm and come up with some actually pretty good ideas. They can help you create content outlines. They can do the actual copywriting for you. They can generate image assets for you. They can do research for you and pull together actual links and be able to actually cite their sources sometimes. And it's pretty impressive. So why should you hire a designer? Why should you hire somebody to help you with your branding or your website, or helping you create a content calendar, or help you create a brand strategy when you can just turn to AI? I'm going to give you a couple of reasons for that and really explain what the role of a designer actually is, because I think it's kind of gotten lost in this age of AI. And I think that there's maybe a misconceived notion of what designers actually do. I think that a lot of people think that they can just replace designers with these AI tools. Yeah, there are some things that you can use AI instead of going to a designer for. But is that the best idea? I would argue no. Designers have something that AI does not have, and that is humanity. We can actually see things, we can feel things, we can experience things. We have emotions. We also have training. Ideally, people that have been a designer for, X number of years. I don't want to give a firm, year range where you become like a professional designer. It's just not really, that's not really fair either. But, let's say you go to school and you study visual communication design like I did, or you go to school and study some other kind of graphic arts or visual media or a multimedia program or marketing, and you get either bachelor's or a baccalaureate degree or a bachelor's of fine arts. Maybe you even go and get a master's degree and, really specialize in some kind of aspect of design or visual arts or visual communication. That right there is something that, sure, AI has consumed and stolen all sorts of content to be able to give answers on that seem, on the first pass, pretty credible. But, part of what we're doing in these programs, and then what we're doing in the real world as working designers and professionals, is not just creating Word documents that, then ultimately inform strategy, that then ultimately inform the visual aspects of branding and putting together presentations and presenting them to you, either our internal colleagues or our clients. We're not only doing all of that, but we're observing. We are. There's a reason why design thinking is a whole concept in and of itself, because it's not just the visual stuff. It's the intake of the world around us, the observation, the deep thought of, considering all the different aspects of the world around us and the things that we consume and the things that we wrestle with and the things that we participate in and the connections that we make with other people. And we're building this library of ideas in our minds and training these ways of seeing and a way of thinking that then helps us inform us in our visual problem solving. Ultimately, that's what design is. It's problem solving. I would argue that it's, in the end, visual problem solving, but it's something that you're typically interacting with or perceiving or using. So you're relying on your senses to be able to use that information, whether that's, using your eyes and ears to navigate the world around you, using your hands and your eyes, navigating a user interface online. It's all the senses that you experience when you're walking into a space that has been designed a certain way, or an exhibit that has been presented to you in a certain way. All these things AI cannot do. AI does not have senses. AI is predictive. It is ultimately a pattern recognition tool. It is not creative. It may seem creative, but it's responding to your prompt in the way that it thinks is the best way to respond to your prompt. It's taking all the knowledge that it has been fed, along with the work of real people sitting there, either at home, working from home, or in these data centers or whatever, combing through data and manually training these AIs, and often on stolen and copyrighted content. So there's still a need for a human element to get to where we are now, but it's just trying to give you the answer that you're looking for, and that's not really the role of a designer. A designer is not just a yes man, typically. But a designer is going to have discernment, going to push back. We're typically a pretty opinionated bunch. And we also experience the world in a way that a computer does not. We are able to iterate and refine and then test, and not only with our colleagues, but also with ourselves. Can AI do that? I don't really think so. And maybe when it comes to things like presentation templates, like yes, that can, probably be handled by like a straightforward template and plug in your information. Like that's not the end of the world. And that's not really what I'm referring to. But when you're thinking about and talking about all the different aspects of a branding system or all the different aspects of your business's touch points, AI just doesn't understand that. And yeah, one might argue, like, maybe not yet, but it will. Sure, you can feed it all of your brand assets and then it can generate new ones for you based on those assets. But it's not really being creative. Again, it's just using all those patterns that it has recognized in its system and then giving you things that, yeah, they may look different to you right now as an individual observing the results. But is AI aware that maybe 50 other companies are doing it as well because they're also using the same tool? Does it care? Not really. That's the thing, is AI doesn't care. It just does not care. And I'm going to repeat that over and over again forever. AI does not care. The only thing that it is programmed to do and care about is giving you an answer or an image or a video to meet the prompt that you give it. But designers are humans and we care. We've built our entire profession on caring. On caring about a good user experience, on caring about a solid brand, on caring about clarity, on caring about differentiation, on caring about well thought through strategy, on caring about how something looks or how something feels. Because all of that feeds into our emotions. We like to think that we are rational, logical beings, but we're not. The majority of everything that we do is based on emotion. And AI doesn't have emotions. Even when it comes to things like B2B brands that, are like not really trying to sell a product to a consumer, like maybe they have their own niche industry or a product, to a layman that may seem pretty dry. Like I actually work with a lot of companies like that, typically in the industrial, manufacturing, construction space, right? Some of these people and some of these companies don't really value design, or at least don't think they do until they realize what good design and visual problem solving actually is and what it means to their bottom line. It makes your life easier. It makes people perceive you better. It makes you more organized. It makes things a little bit more streamlined. It makes you look more put together. Because how you present yourself to the world like that is designed. You should be designing that across the way that you look, the way that you speak, the way that you present yourself, what your digital experience is like, how you set up your data analysis, what data you're collecting, how you speak about yourself. I'm pretty sure I already said that. But all of these things are the things that you should care about and design. And honestly, the way that we interact with other businesses as consumers or as other businesses or as vendors, as buyers, as clients, as customers is often through emotion. And again, we try to justify it through logic. But when you think about even like the copy that you see on a page when you're trying to make a rational decision about a buying decision, typically that copy is leaning into behavioral science principles. It's not saying that everything is like manipulation, but it takes an understanding of human psychology and how we move through and interact with the world and how we perceive things to write good copy that then persuades you to act. It's all based on emotion. So can AI do that? Does AI have emotion? Sometimes seems like it does. They've programmed it to sound actually pretty human sometimes, pretty friendly sometimes. If you're a decent person, you maybe even want to say please and thank you to it sometimes. But it's a computer, and it's not going to actually be able to experience your designs. It's not going to be able to experience your brand. It's not going to be able to actually talk to you, even though it sounds like it, especially if you turn on the generative voice. So why should you hire a designer in the age of AI? because we care, because we experience, and because we are visual problem solvers. Not even to mention the fact that AI is still just not even capable of the entire brand experience in terms of like the hard skills like print in AI, garbage, just garbage. Like trying to design anything print related in Canva, and maybe this will change, like maybe I'm just talking out of my ass, and maybe Canva will replace InDesign one day, but I strongly doubt it. There are so many technical considerations when it comes to print specifically, because now you're also dealing with physical materials like hardware, printing processes, and things like that. Computers don't understand that because computers can't feel things. They don't have tactile senses. Is AI able to even see? What's another good example? Like I know they're training it to go through things like checkout flows and buy things for you. But does that instill a sense of confidence in the product to you as a buyer? Are you confident that you're going to be that you're buying a buy it for life product? Or are you buying something that maybe the AI was incentivized to buy for you and you're just going to have to buy it again soon because it breaks anyway? AI doesn't care. Another good example, judgment. Judgment is something that AI just cannot replace. It can sometimes come pretty close. I've used AI actually pretty extensively. It's not like I'm an AI Luddite. I've been using it since early 2004 or so and have gone through, ChatGPT's earlier models like 2.5 or 3. Yeah, it's pretty powerful, but you don't really know what you're doing unless you know your subject matter. There have been so many times where I've told it that it's wrong, and then I just get frustrated and I go in loops, and then I have to take a step back and I'm like, why am I sitting here fighting with this robot when like I know what I'm doing and I know the answer, and I just go back to square one and I just feel frustrated because I wasted all my time. Don't get me wrong, AI is really powerful. I use it all the time for certain things. Again, it can be a good brainstorming partner, but much the same way that like I read a ton of different books and I consume a lot of different kinds of material and learn about a lot of different domains, not just in design and web development, outside of that. Like, I think it's really important to have hobbies and interests and other things that are informing your judgment that are outside of your profession. Because part of what we do as designers is we're taking inspiration from elsewhere. And really, that is especially true in branding. When you're trying to create a brand that is visually different and distinct from your competitors, and you're trying to make a strong case for why you, as a customer, should buy their product or buy a service. You can't do that just following the patterns that already exist. You're just going to look like everybody else. And a lot of times, the biggest breakthroughs and inspiration come from the wildest places. That's the beauty of our brains. And that's what we are able to do, is make these connections subconsciously and then distill that into a brand framework and brand attributes and visual representations of your brand that then can be applied through a well-executed design system. Can AI do that? I don't think so. So why should you hire a designer in the age of AI? Because we actually perform the role that you're going to AI to. That's what we're trained to do. And the biggest difference between us and the robot is that we are human and we care. We have spent years honing our craft and honing our vision and honing our discernment and honing our creativity. These things AI just cannot ever replace. It will never be able to experience, but people experience your brand and your website and your social media channels and your content and your office and your space every day. So wouldn't you want a human driving that? That's up to you. I'm Marianne Zeiken. I am the founder and designer of Zeiken Design, a small design studio here in Houston where we work on print, branding, visual media, websites, photo, video, basically anything creative. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and let me know your thoughts.